in today, I would imagine. Ruzaman is a very loyal listener, and I'm sure he'll be there today. Folks, we're going to kick things off with topic number 1. And, of course, a lot going on in F1 and the GOAT. Lewis Hamilton. How can I make that mistake? Lewis Hamilton wins in Qatar, takes the podium, takes first place. Max Verstappen in second. And Hamilton, again, climbing up the standings close to Max Verstappen, just 8 points away in the standings. Brandon, huge win for Lewis once again over the weekend.
No matter what you call him, you just got to call him the GOAT, man. The GOAT.
That's right.
The greatest of all time. The GOAT does it again, wins in Qatar. I mean, first, let's talk about the history that he makes. He's the only driver in F1 history to win at 30 different circuits. I mean, that tells you something. The only driver in F1 history. So once again, Lewis Hamilton making history, being the only driver to do something. He just keeps doing it. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of F1. You know what I mean? Just keeps making history every time he gets on the track. Now 102 wins. He is the greatest driver of all time. There is no doubt about it. I just want to make a quick reference to Alan Prost, who made reference to Fernando Alonso being the greatest driver on the grid. That is absolutely false, wrong, and it's such a piece of crap thing to say when he knows that Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time world champion and is close to getting 8 right now. And I just like to say Alan Prost routinely got his ass whipped by Senna, routinely, in my opinion. So let's just bring that up. So, but I'm telling you, Lewis Hamilton, the greatest driver of all time, proving it yet again on a brand new track there in Qatar, a track that, you know, wasn't built for any car at this point. And we've routinely said that the Red Bull is the best car on the grid this year and has been proven to. And, you know, laps led with Max Verstappen leading the most laps led this year. But Lewis Hamilton, again, just does it in Qatar amazingly, just led from start to finish. There wasn't even anybody to contest him. You know, Max Verstappen got his grid penalty, which was rightfully deserving for driving through double yellows. Bottas got a grid penalty for driving through single yellows. And somehow Carlos Sainz escaped being penalized driving through single yellows. He must have had a really good explanation when he went to the stewards. But I'm telling you, Lewis Hamilton, it didn't even matter if Max Verstappen had started second. Lewis Hamilton was still going to drive away from him, still go on to win his 102nd win. And like you said, really pinches the championship a lot closer now. Only 8 points away with 2 Grand Prix left in the year. It is getting really spicy, really exciting. And speaking of spicy, Toto Wolff said they will have their spicy engine from Brazil back in the car, which is a brand new engine with extreme horsepower turned up to the max settings. Okay, so it's going to be great at the next couple of Grand Prix. He didn't even use his best engine at Qatar and still went on to destroy the field and win in Qatar. So, like I said, greatest driver of all time, hands down, Lewis Hamilton winning again.
Yeah, some people who would want to argue against, you know, the greatness of 30 wins at 30 different locations. But remember, like you just mentioned, there's never been a race at Qatar at this track. So it's so unpredictable. So the fact that Hamilton can get to so many and succeed at so many, I think is a huge testament to him. And, you know, earlier in the season, we were saying, you know, Mercedes was a little slow out of the gate. And we were like, are they going to be, you know, full throttle, so to speak, on this season with the rule changes coming next year? But clearly they are. And now we have an 8-point deficit between the top 2 guys going into the last 2 Grand Prix, like you mentioned. And Hamilton's just been unbelievable. I think it's his 15th podium of the season, 16 for Verstappen. He came in second over the weekend. But, you know, this is obviously what all these racing fans have been wanting all year long. These 2 guys going at it the last 2 races of the season. You know, it's going to mean so much. You know, this is exciting. This is why, like, golf does the FedEx Cup, right? Where you have golfers, you know, in a points race towards the end of the year. This is what makes F1 so exciting is situations like this. When you have Hamilton and Verstappen, the sort of, I don't think of Lewis Hamilton as an old guy, but he is the old guard. He's been at the top of the mountain for so long versus the young gun, the 23-year-old Max Verstappen. And this is different contrasting styles make great stories, and that's what's going on here. All F1 fans are pumped for this. This is why we've been preaching about this sport all year long, and why it's been so good. And Mercedes, you're never gonna put them away. They're almost like the Patriots in the NFL, where people kept saying at some point Brady's gonna fall off a cliff, or at some point Belichick's gonna be too old, and they kept on coming back. That's what Hamilton's doing. Red Bull, Verstappen, they want to be the next young hot racer, but you got to hold off Lewis Hamilton first. And I love that it's Hamilton in second, because it's like he's climbing. Now he has to chase. He has to go after podiums and first place wins to earn more points to climb up the standings to number one. I love that he's in second. If he was in first, you wonder if the strategy would be a little different. But being in second, I love that he has to go after things. And that's why this has been so fun, Brandon.
I agree. It just brings so much more excitement that you have the best driver on the grid being second and being the chaser right now. And he even was asked after the Qatar Grand Prix that, you had made the comment when they were speaking to Lewis, you had made the comment that you like to be the hunter. And Lewis said, yes, yep. I love being in that situation. And I'm loving this, Grand Prix championship fight that we have every weekend with Red Bull and with Max Verstappen. So this is definitely an exciting moment for F1, and if you're a fan. And we've said, this is the tightest championship probably over the last decade, and is going to go down to the very last Grand Prix. I can feel it. I can really feel it. Especially we're going to a brand new track again, and we just talked about how Lewis Hamilton's won at 30 different tracks. Well, we're going to a brand new track again in Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah track, the Jeddah Street Circuit, where I'm expecting Lewis Hamilton to win again. And if he can get the fastest lap with that spicy engine that Toto Wolff was talking about, then it really sets it up. And if Max Verstappen comes in second, they will be all even going into the very last race. And it will be then whoever finishes ahead. And, maybe the fastest lap point might come into play, but I don't think so at that point. It will be whoever finishes ahead at that point will win the championship in the very last Grand Prix. A track that I'm telling you, Lewis Hamilton loves at Abu Dhabi as well. So I'm telling you, the greatest of all time, he is on the hunt right now, and Max Verstappen has all the pressure put on him at this point. And we've seen the momentum swing several times in this season, and once again, it has swung back into the favor of Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. Just quickly, George Russell, we all know he's signed to drive for Mercedes going forward, but in his interview this week, he said, I would never count against Lewis Hamilton or Mercedes. I would never bet against them. So he's telling that he's really, putting his money where his mouth speaks right now in Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton to win the championship. But just quickly, just a nice little piece of information for all those Max fans out there, where they talked about him supposed to be the greatest young champion, maybe the youngest F1 champion ever. Well, he just turned 24 this year, and he still hasn't won a championship. Sebastian Vettel won a championship at age 23. Lewis Hamilton won a championship at age 23. So that thing's done now. I wouldn't be calling him the greatest young champion ever at this point when he hasn't even won a championship. And I'm telling you, it's going to come down to the end right here. So we'll see. We'll save some more jabs for Max later. But let's move on to topic number 2.